Diary of a Wimpy Geek. Formula of the Four Elements. Kids' Adventure Stories. Written by Jeff Child. Narrated by John H. Feskins. Introduction. Martin is kind of a wimpy kid, but he is also very smart, a little too smart maybe, because when he discovers certain chemical processes, he accidentally opens up a world of darkness and horrors he should have foreseen. Listen to this story about the kid Martin, who mixes up the four elements of nature and finds himself in a terrible duel, combating with the very forces he has unleashed. This diary is his own account of what happened exactly. Chapter 1. I am a geek. So there you have it. I am a big nerd. My name is Martin. I love science, research, books, and all that stuff. My social skills are lacking, but my parents have been telling me since the beginning that I am super smart. And that's what counts. That's what I think is more important anyway. All that chit-chat about nonsense between people who want to express their emotions doesn't lead anywhere. Only science, pure science. Knowledge is power, right? And so what if that makes you an introvert or an antisocial hermit? It will lead to better results and more discoveries, which will make the world a better place. Since I was little, I have always been interested in figuring things out. The rotation of a spinning wheel, the angle of the tip of a sword, or the gravity that pulls down heavy objects. One time, I wanted to know if a rock would fall faster than a wood chip. My friend, my only friend, and I went to the roof of my house and took the items with us. His name was Dallin. And to tell you the truth, Dallin was a little skittish. I told him about my plan, but at first he hesitated because he thought it was scary to climb on the roof. After a lot of convincing, he finally gave in and followed me up there. "See," I said, "it's not even that high. Nothing will happen." "If nothing will happen, then why are we doing this?" he asked. "Because we have to test it. Makes sense, doesn't it?" "But isn't it obvious that a rock will fall faster than a wood chip? It's so much heavier." "I know," I said, "but I want to know for sure." We both climbed onto the roof. 3, 2, 1, go, I said. We dropped them at what seemed to be the same time, but I doubted. I turned to Dallin and said, "Are you sure we dropped them at the same time? What if your reaction was a fraction of a second later than mine?" I don't know." "Let's do it again," I said. We went downstairs, grabbed the wood chip and the rock, and ran back upstairs. 3, 2, 1, go, I shouted again. This time, at least it looked like we dropped them at the exact same time. But I couldn't see which one hit the ground sooner. Was it the wood chip or the rock? I assumed that it was the rock, but it was hard to see from up there. "Now are you convinced?" Dallin asked. "Not really," I said. "I'm a little disappointed. How do we know which one hit the ground first?" "Well, you saw it. It was the rock." "That's just it. I didn't see it. Someone has to stand down there and make sure." I paused for a second and looked at the ground. I looked at Dallin. Dallin looked at the ground. Then he looked at the roof he was standing on. I smiled and closed my eyes halfway. Then Dallin looked at me. "Oh, no," he said. "I know what you're thinking, but I am not going to risk having a rock thrown on my head." "Fine," I said. "I'll go, but then I will be the one who will know, and I am not going to tell you." He thought for a moment. "Okay then," he said. "Fine, I'll stand down there and observe which one is heavier." He went downstairs. "Ready," he said. I counted down again. 3, 2, 1, here we go! I dropped them at the same time, but I didn't aim very well. "Ouch!" Dallin said, and he fell over. Whoops, that was unexpected. I rushed down and tried to patch him up, but he was knocked out for a few minutes and had a big bump on his head. His parents were furious and didn't let me play with him for another month. My parents, however, were very patient and understanding. They knew my deviant brain always thought of crazy experiments like that, and all I got was a light punishment and a warning. So yes, I experiment. I try things out. I combine certain liquids with lava pearls and sand with clay. I like to mix mushrooms with red flowers and obsidian with cactuses. Strange, huh? Well, let me tell you what happened when everything backfired on me, when everything got out of hand. Chapter 2: The Four Elements. So I wasn't being careful, I know, but I guess in the end it all worked out. It's not interesting to write about how it all worked out, though, so let me elaborate on what all went wrong. The four elements. They are fire, earth, water, and wind. And if only I had known how powerful it would be if one of those elements became dominant, I never would have started this experiment in the first place. But it was too late. My mind was made up. I was going to do it. I took the elements. I was building it in my basement. My parents didn't know about it. I don't think they would have approved anyway. I had all kinds of beakers and tubes, and I was separating the four elements into different ones. I had gathered fire in a tube. The tube was resistant to the heat, and I kept putting in oxygen to fuel it. I had gathered earth in a tube. So easy. Just take some sand. I had gathered water in another one. No explanation needed. And wind? Well, I just had a tube that went in circles to create some wind. Not that complicated either. But then it happened. I added a fluid called Zinbarkanish Grafte B by B. Zin for short. It was toxic, but I was wearing gloves, so I thought it wouldn't hurt me. Well, it didn't hurt me directly. However, the consequences of adding this substance were dire. And I am sorry to say that after the first add-on, I didn't learn my lesson, nor after the second, or the third. It was only after all four elements that I came to the realization that this was a terrible mistake, and that you shouldn't mess around with the Zin substance at all. Chapter 3: Fire. First, I added the Zin substance to the fire that was blowing inside one of the tubes. The Zin slowly seeped into the air and evaporated, burned up by the quenching flames. It made a cracking sound and then shot up in the air. A flame, burning red-hot flame, shot up in the air and began to take shape. What did I just create? It looked amazing how the twirling, fiery winds were merging, first a head, then some other body parts. Pretty weird if you ask me. It was a fire flyer. Wow, I just created a fire flyer. Uh-oh, fire flyers are hostile. They are dangerous. I have to get out of here. The fire flyer saw me, and even though it had cooled off a little bit, it briefly and quickly caught fire. Its flame extended to the ceiling. It got ready and shot 3 rapid fireballs at me. Wah! I ducked. That was close. It burned the sofa, though. And although we didn't care much about that piece of junk anyway, the fireflyer's next move would be to shoot more fireballs at me. I couldn't have that, not in here. So I sped out of the room and opened the front door. The fireflyer was following me. Good. I went outside and ran towards the fields outside our town. The fireflyer was still following me, which was still good. It was slower, which helped me outrun it. So every once in a while, I briefly stopped to have it catch up to me. Why did I do that? Because I knew how to defeat it. I knew it was hard to use anything against this hot creature, and that there was something up in the mountains I could use. As I said, I am a nerd. I am a knowledge geek, and I love the facts. So I guess I wasn't entirely helpless against such an enemy. I had previously studied every enemy, every weakness they have, and every skill or characteristic in the books. I knew about monsters, skeletons, vampires, and zombies. I knew what they were capable of, and I knew what their weak spots were. The fireflyer kept shooting fireballs, but it was hopeless. I almost felt sorry for it, as if I was kind of laughing at its futile attempts to incinerate me. But I kept going. I figured it was a pretty stupid creature, so it would follow me wherever I went. And it did. Eventually, I came to the foot of the mountain. I looked back and saw that it was still behind me. What an idiot. Ha! Come on, I said. Come on and follow me. I won't do anything to you. Of course, it couldn't hear me say it, since it was still a few hundred feet away, but I mostly said it to myself, taunting it to come closer. After a while, I went up the mountain, still maintaining my distance. I climbed higher and higher on the path to the snow peaks. There, I grabbed some snow and made a large ball out of it. Now let that dumb fiery fireflyer come here. I looked around the tree. Hey, where did it go? I thought it was still following me. Maybe I missed something. I got a little scared. The tides had turned. I couldn't see it anymore. Was it here already, or did it fall behind at the bottom of the mountain? Carefully and slowly, I moved forward. I held the snowball in my hand just in case. I looked behind every tree. The pine trees were thick, and it was hard to see anyone if it wasn't within a short distance. Where is it? Where did the fireflyer go? Suddenly, I turned around, and to this day I am glad I did, and a huge fireball came at me, and another, and another. Whoa! I jumped behind a tree, barely evading the lethal attacks by this monster. How did it get over there? Did it take a shortcut? I smirked. I guess I underestimated this enemy. It had disappeared and left my sight to sneak up on me and get me anyway. Smart. But now it was my turn. I knew this thing was allergic to snowballs. I knew it couldn't stand the freezing temperature of this fluffy substance. So I waited for the opportune moment and stepped aside, threw a snowball in its face, and stepped back behind the tree, bending over while creating another snowball. I took a peek. The fireflyer was hit. It was extinguished a little, but not all the way yet. Ha! It was working. The information I read in all those books was correct. Well, what was I waiting for? I hit it with another snowball. It fell to the ground and struggled to fly up again. Floating in the air isn't so easy when you have a couple of snowballs in your face, is it? I asked. Then I took an incredibly large amount of snow and shoved it on the fireflyer. I heard it sizzling. The hostile creature was being quenched. Victory was mine. Chapter 4. Earth. After my tremendous triumph, I went back home. It took me a while to get all the way there, seeing that I climbed up on the mountain, but I have to say it was easier to descend down the mountain than to climb up, and I really enjoyed the view. When I came home, I snuck back into my little science room, and I have to admit that I am not proud of what I did after that. I took the Zin substance and put a few drops in the tube with earth in it. I knew at the time that it probably wouldn't be a good idea because of what happened when I had added it to the fire, but I was just too curious. I wanted to know what it would turn into. And boy, did I know when it happened. The earth grew larger and larger, making sizzling sounds and shaking heavily. Within half a minute, a huge robot stood in front of me. Nice. At first, I thought this giant monster was on my side, as is often the case with robots. I had read all about them. They protect villagers and are generally friendly creatures. But this one looked different. It looked evil. Its eyes were glowing red and its eyebrows moved down in the middle, changing his facial expression into a mean one. Yikes! This robot was corrupt! It was an evil robot that was now going to crush me! I was terrified, so again, I ran outside. The robot followed me and smashed everything outside of the house that got in its way. I was just relieved that it didn't break any of my parents' stuff. But it came after me and it was very angry. "Rawr," it said. Oh my, an angry robot. What now? See, I totally forgot if it had one specific weakness, since those creatures are usually on the people's side. Maybe I could just defeat it with whatever I came across. I looked around me and saw a shovel leaning against one of the home's walls. So I picked it up and swung it at the robot, which had already caught up with me. The robot grabbed the shovel I swung as if it was nothing and crushed it into 1,000 pieces by banging it on the ground. Whoa. Now what? I had to do something, right? I took a pitchfork that was lying on the ground. Same result. The robot broke it in half. Okay, almost the same result then, but still, this was pointless. Where could I find something strong enough to defeat it? Then I saw it. I got an idea. Aha! I saw the blacksmith's shop. He should have something that could help me. I ran as fast as I could and entered his shop. It was wide open, as if he didn't even have a front door. I don't know if he used something to cover up his stuff, or if he just trusted the villagers not to steal anything. "What's going on, boy?" he asked. "It's a robot! It's following me!" I said in panic. "Oh, but that's not a problem at all," he said. "Robots are perfectly harmless. They don't hurt us." "But this one turned evil," I said. He looked at me weird. "Sure," he said, "like that's ever going to happen." "No, believe me, it's true." And before we could end our conversation, the robot was standing right in front of us. "What the blacksmith said. "What is wrong with its eyes?" "I told you it turned evil, and now it's out to get me." "Quickly, hide in the corner," the blacksmith said. "I know how to deal with this." I saw what he was doing, and we were lucky enough that it was there when we were being attacked, because between the blacksmith and the robot was a huge tank with lava in it, which the blacksmith had probably used all day to melt and mold the iron he used. "Stand back, boy," he said, as he put on his gloves and pushed as hard as he could. The tank fell over, and the hot stuff spread all over the floor. He made sure not to touch it, but it certainly touched the robot. Its feet were the first to go, and as it slowly melted before our eyes, I sighed and was glad this evil creature had been taken care of as well. I thanked the blacksmith after seeing the last bit disappear, the robot's head. "Don't you get into any more trouble, boy," the blacksmith said. "How did that monster turn evil like that anyway?" "Oh, don't worry about it," I said. "Should I inform your parents?" "No, I'll tell them about it myself," I assured him. "Thanks. See you later." Chapter 5. Water. Wow, what an adventure. First the fire flyer, then the robot, and then, well, there was still some water left and some wind blowing around in a tube. But why would I want to continue if all that would happen was creating new monsters? I doubted for a second, but I was too curious. I just wanted to see what the water would turn into. Besides, maybe one of them might not be evil, and then I would invent some new medicine or something. I could become rich that way. So yes, I was going to try it again. You can call me dumb. Stubborn as I was not going to let this opportunity pass. I got a drop of Zin and added it to the water. It exploded immediately. Boom! But it wasn't fire. It was an explosion of water, and half of the basement was full of it. All of a sudden, I was standing in water that came up to my waist. That was strange. No enemy? But I was wrong. There was an enemy. When I looked underwater, putting my head underneath the surface, I saw an angry sea monster staring directly at me. I had learned about their spikes. They could shoot them, and they always extended them when they weren't swimming. But when they would swim, their spikes would retract. This one was shooting spikes at me, though, and I wasn't in the mood to get hit. "Pfft," I said. "I'm not impressed. This is why we have a sewer system." In the bottom of the basement, there was a pit, a drainage system that was clogged by a plug. So after evading his spikes for a few seconds, I dove under and swam towards it, pulling the plug within a short time period. Whoosh! The water was draining. The sea monster got sucked into the drainage, but it got stuck. It didn't fit since it was too big. It started squeaking and flopping around a little, but it didn't seem to suffocate. Its spikes were extended, and I didn't have the guts to pick it up. "Serves you right," I said. "Shooting spikes at me and all that. You deserve to die." He really did. But I didn't know how, so I looked around a little and saw a pitchfork in the corner. I walked towards it, grabbed it, and used it to stab the sea monster to death. "Phew," I said as I felt my heart beating. By the way, I always acted cool when confronted with an enemy, but the adrenaline was rushing through my blood, and each time I had to talk myself into killing it. This time, it was harder than before for some reason, and now there was still wind. Chapter 7. My New Friend. It seemed pretty ironic to me that a robot had turned into an enemy, although they were usually friendly, and that a ghost, a naturally hostile creature, turned out to be very kind. I just didn't get it. It probably had to do with the mysterious Zin that I had added. It has some strange effects indeed. I never told my mom about Fleabee. It was my friend, and I didn't want her to freak out about it, so I just hid him in the basement. Whenever my mom would go to the basement, I would warn him by knocking hard on the basement door. Then Fleabee would hide, and my mom wouldn't discover him. Fleabee was awesome. We played together, created more chemical formulas together, and went places. And whenever I needed him, all I had to do was whistle. He recognized the tone of my whistle above all other sounds, and he would always appear within seconds when I whistled. It's worked ever since. I also used him at school a few times. And before you start judging me for scaring a few innocent children, let me tell you about these kids first. Then you can decide whether or not I did the right thing. So these were bullies. They were mean to almost everyone. It was a trio, and they had stuck together for years, always terrorizing the geeks and the introverts, and I had just had it with them. One day, they were stealing someone's lunch money again and beating up a child behind the school walls. The reason I knew about it was because the girl I liked, Leilani, came running towards the teacher and us. "Harry, Larry, and Gary are beating someone up behind the school," she said. But the teacher wasn't listening. He was too busy talking to other kids and didn't pay attention at all. "Teacher, teacher," Leilani said again. "Didn't you hear me? 3 kids are beating up another kid behind the school." The teacher still wasn't listening. But then I tapped Leilani on the shoulder. "Oh, Martin, what's going on?" she asked. Wow, she knew my name. I had been staring at her so many times during school hours, but I didn't know that she knew my name. I had always been too shy to introduce myself, but now I had the feeling I needed to step up. "I will help you out," I said. "You? But you can't take these guys. They're bigger and stronger than you." "No worries. Just show me where they are." "Oh, okay," she said. "But don't blame me if they beat you up." I followed her around the wall and saw the 3 bullies beat up a smaller kid, a nerd I hung out with every once in a while. Someone needed to teach these boys a lesson. "Try doing that with me," I said. They turned around. "What?" "You heard me," I said. "Try beating me up, you cowards." They let go of my friend and came at me. "What did you say, you little snot?" Larry asked. "Stop beating up kids or you will face the consequences," I said courageously. Leilani was watching from a corner. She was afraid I was going to get whipped. Larry laughed, and as soon as he did, the other 2 laughed as well. "Ha ha ha! You dare to challenge me?" he asked. "Well, get ready to receive the beating of a lifetime." "Okay," I said. "Suit yourself." I whistled, and Fleabee floated towards us. "Oh, what is that thing?" Larry said. "This is my friend. He is a ghost. And if he ever sees you do something wrong again, he will beat you up with his ghost hands. Show them, Fleabee." The ghost formed a large fist and some muscles on an arm made from white smoke, threatening the boys. "Let's get out of here," Larry said, and they ran away. My friend thanked me and went back to the playground. Then Leilani came out. "I like your ghost. What is its name?" she said. "His name is Fleabee," I answered. "Good job for being so brave," she said. "Oh, it was nothing," I bragged. "I thought it was awesome," she said, and she kissed me on the cheek. Then she ran away to play. I smiled. "Thanks, Fleabee," I said. If nothing else, combining the elements was worth it, especially after a kiss from Leilani. It was my lucky day. The end.